Welcome to today's interview, where we delve into the innovative world of sustainable packaging with Joona Kontinen, Growth and Innovation Manager at Sulapac. I'm Hye Jung-mayanen, your host and Senior Lecturer at Metropolia University of Applied Sciences. Joona, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, it's a pleasure to be here.
Could you please introduce Sulapac to our listeners?
Yeah, so Sulapac is nowadays a scale-up with a mission to save the world from plastic waste. To put it short, what we do is we create and sell biodegradable materials to replace plastics in everywhere where they can be replaced. We've done a lot of cosmetic packaging, food service items. Anything made out of plastics can be made from Sulapac, but in some cases it obviously doesn't make sense to create, example, a spaceship out of biodegradable materials that should hold. But in principle, we use the same equipment, the same everything as they use with conventional plastics, but the materials are biodegradable. So our mission is to save the world from plastic waste.
That's very interesting. So could you discuss the current global plastic crisis and how Sulapac addresses sustainability?
Yeah, so to put it here in a way that there is two separate problems that plastic industry has. The one is the consumption of fossil resources, and the other one is the plastic waste problem. And in many conversations, many cases, these two problems are addressed as one, which doesn't make sense in a way because the solution is different. Because if we want to reduce the use of fossil resources in the plastic industry, we are fine to do conventional olefins, conventional polyethylene, polypropylene, or anything, but from the bio-based sources. But that solves only that problem with the fossil resources. But then again, in the other side, we can also use fossil resources to create biodegradable polymers. And in that sense, we all try to solve the plastic waste problem or the microplastic problem, but we are not solving the fossil resource problem. And then there's the fourth category where we as Sulapac aim to be and where we are is to use bio-based materials and biodegradable materials. So all of our materials are bio-based and biodegradable, which means that we concentrate, yes, on the usage of fossil resources, but then again, the main topic that we do, or the main problem that we try to solve is the plastic waste problem, the microplastic sludge that is filling our oceans and filling our bodies even nowadays.
It's a very good innovative solution that we can, with your technology, you can try to kind of solve many problems at the same time. So could you elaborate on Sulapac's materials, innovation and key features?
Yeah, well, as said before, the key features are the bio-based and biodegradation. So those are the principles that we start from. Then the key features, of course, differs a bit from industry to industry. Example, in cosmetic industry, the quality is extremely important. So we have this saying in Sulapac that we use that everything needs to be sustainable, which concentrates on the bio-based and biodegradable materials. Then it needs to be functional. Because, example, if we think about when the single-use plastic directive forbade the plastic straws, and we got a lot of paper straws. So the functionality of that one is not so good. It's sustainable, but it's not functional in a sense. So we also aim that all of our materials are as functional as conventional plastics. And then the beautiful part is because we work a lot with the super high-end cosmetic industry like Chanel's and Shiseido's of the world, and they are extremely cautious about how it looks and how it feels. And that's the third part that we aim.
Very good. Very good. I think we already got some idea about differences in different sectors, what's required and what's used. But with Sulapac's offering various materials, could you guide our audience on how to choose the most suitable one?
Yes, well, first of all, you need to think about where do you use the product and what is the method of production. So as now Sulapac has, I think, 13 different commercial materials varying from luxurious high-end materials with large wood chips and like really rigid and good-looking materials to elastomeric, like almost like a rubber type of materials. And then how do you make it? We have a lot of materials that are injection molded or can be injection molded. Then we have materials aimed for extrusion, then thermoforming and 3D printing. that's the first choice that you need to make. And then from there, we can guide you through the whole journey of what is the product that you would need. Maybe do you need resistance for high heats, or do you need fast degradation or elastomeric-like elongations and so on. And we can guide you in there quite well.
That was very good guidance for the audience who is first a bit confused. There are quite several options where to start from, and then they can start to think from that and then contact you and to get some more detailed advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in many methods, we have only 1 or 2 or 3 different materials. But example, in injection molding, we have several, or most of the plastics or most of our materials can be injection molded. So we have also this kind of material selection guide that you can download from our website, and the journey has been made quite easy for a customer.
Yeah, actually, I also visited your website. It was really well organized for the customers, and I also recognize you have quite several certifications and logos on the different products. So how do they signify the product sustainability?
Yeah, not sure if I even remember all the certifications that we have, but of course we have the general certifications, the ISO, is it 14001 and 9001 for the companies, how the company works. But then from the sustainability side, all of our materials are, for example, industrially compostable, which is basically used to show that these materials has a potential to degrade. Of course, we know that the whole world doesn't have industrial composting facilities, and it's not maybe even the desired end of life due to the chemical recycling of biopolymers. But what that shows is that it has a potential to degrade. The structure of the material is built in a way that it can degrade. And then also in the same certifications, there's the ecotoxicity testings, that the residue that after degradation, that it's not harmful and it doesn't leave any toxic load in the world. Then other than that, we have, I think at least the PFAS statements to not that there's no perfluoroalkyl substances found from the material. Then some of the materials, or actually, all the materials that contain wood, we can create an FSC certified version. So all the wood that we are using, it's the side stream from the sawmills and the wood. So we're not cutting any trees to make Sulapac product. And it's also coming from forests that are FSC certified.
Got the impression that you got so many those certificates approved by third parties, so that it's more like this greenwash free that you really the customers can trust.
Yeah, and in many cases there's also problems. Example, we test all of our materials in marine environment for the degradation. But with those certifications, then example marine or soil degradation, there's the problem that they are binary certifications. That if the material, I think in marine environment, if it degrades in 5 months and 29 days, it's degradable. If it's 6 months and 1 day, it's non-degradable based on the certification. So there where we cannot achieve those certifications, example, some of our materials may take a year or even 2 years to degrade in marine environment, where we try to mimic the natural materials like a tree leaves or something like this, which based on the standard are not marine degradable. Okay. So there you can go to our website and download the scientific background in there. So we're quite open on how we have been testing these materials, what are the results, and then anybody can read them and make their own mind. Are we speaking the truth or are we greenwashing?
Yes, very good.
If you're still more interested, you can always contact us and we can go through some of those data already.
I think this kind of interview is very good opportunity also for listeners to get to know more about this kind of certificate and what it means, and so I think it's helpful for their decisions. So you have made the example, for example, Chanel and these cosmetic brands and so on. Could you share some more customer cases or examples of packaging solutions Sulapac has provided?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the cosmetics industry is where we started from in the beginning. And I think we've gone furthest on that side, where we have the customers like Chanel and Lumen, example, in Finland, and this kind of, and those customers are the looks of the product and the feel of the product is extremely important for them. But then if we go, example, the food service side, where we, back in 2019, 18, 19, when the straw became a face of the plastic waste problem. So, of course, we created a biodegradable one back then. And there's only one important thing, and that's the price. It's always the price of the material, because straw is something that nobody buys straw as a straw. It's a side for something else. You buy some drink and then you get the straw. So it can't cost very much. So those are like two opposite examples to making a fragrance cap for Chanel and making a straw. It's like otherwise you need to have really good looks and feel, and in the other side, the price is the determining factor. Then, of course, we have multiple different products that our customers have made. Example, one Swedish studio, Ekbacken Studio, they created the 3D printed furniture, lounge chairs and tables out of our materials. Then one company is creating this kind of urns for pets that you can bury pets and all the ashes. There's hangers, there is some hygiene products like shavers or flossers that people have tested, or even coffins for human beings. And there's a huge variety of different products that has been tested or produced.
It's really interesting to learn that how a variety of products have utilized the Sulapac material. So I think from your experience, how do you see these future perspectives regarding customer demands in the packaging industry?
Well, it's obvious that the sustainability demands has increased in the past, let's say, 10 years. Even when Sulapac started in 2016-17, I joined the company in 18, and still it was a new thing. Biodegradables were a totally new thing for most of the customers, but nowadays it's more or less one option along others. Also, the legislation has increased the sustainability demands. Now the Packaging Waste Directive, where you need to have the recycled content in the materials, which of course directs the industry and the demands, because, well, when it's mandatory by law, it's quite a good motivation for companies to try to or start to implement these kind of policies. I think we can all agree that the transformation is ongoing. How fast it goes, how fast the biodegradables, how fast the recycling is in place, like in full scale globally. Don't know yet, but the transformation is anyway ongoing already.
Yes, definitely. We feel like daily life when we buy, for example, milk bottles, already the caps are attached, and or other examples as well. Would you like to share some more of your experiences or future perspective regarding legislations? That I think there are a lot to discuss about.
Yeah, we could do a separate podcast about that one. Well, in Europe, we are quite in a special environment when it comes to legislations, because in Europe, we're generally being the first to implement this kind of legislation. In Europe, generally speaking, not all of the countries, but generally speaking, we are following the legislations quite accurately. Example, EU does some legislation, and in Finland, we follow it immediately, even though it would be mandatory in let's say, after 5 years or something like this. But I think the two most important legislations in our side of business has been the Single-Use Plastic Directive that came in place, I think, the 1st of July in 2019, which basically states that in certain categories, the single-use plastics are forbidden totally. I think those were straws, cutleries, coffee cup lids, balloon sticks, and those things that you clean your ears with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got the paper straws example, but then the cutlery side, we got the wooden cutleries, but then again, because it was single-use plastic directive, so if you can certify it that you can put it in the dishwasher enough amount of times, depending on country, but example in Spain, you can put it 5 times in the dishwasher and nothing is happening to the material, then it's okay. So now we have our stores, there's the same plastic cutlery, single-use cutlery, which is a bit thicker, and then you can put it in the dishwasher and just tag it as a reusable, and it's again, you can sell it. So in that sense, the idea was really good, but then how it was implemented, how it was done, maybe wasn't that good. And also the definition of plastic, it considers all the plastics as the same. So it doesn't matter if it's a conventional olefin, if it's a biodegradable one, or so on. But if it's a man-made, then it's considered as a plastic. So example, if you have your breakfast and you're having an egg and you fry it, it's plastic afterwards based on EU legislation, because you have the proteins in the egg, then you fry it, you make deformations for the proteins, which is polymers, and because you did it yourself, it's a man-made, so after that it's a plastic. And it doesn't consider at all what happens after. So the legislation was aimed to solve the plastic waste problem, and it ended up concentrating on that no man-made things can be used in these items. But of course, there was a lot of restrictions on different categories also. It was not all that just forbids the straw and single-use stuff. Example, the bottles that we drink our Cokes from, the cap needs to be attached to the bottle nowadays, because they found a lot of caps from different beaches where they did the study. And then the newest ones is the Packaging and Packaging Waste Directive, or the regulation, which was voted, I think, a month or two ago. Yes. That concentrates on all of the packaging, not only plastic. There we did a large amount of work with a lot of different companies to also include the biodegradables in the accepted as recyclable list, because it was pretty close that they would tell that biodegradables cannot be recycled and therefore cannot be used in different packaging. But nowadays it is in there, it has been voted, and good thing that way. And also the recycling of biopolymers, of biodegradables, has been increasing quite a lot, at least in discussions, and there's already a few factories doing the chemical recycling of PLA example. So we're in the good road there.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. It was a very interesting interview here. I have myself learned a lot. So thank you very much, and I'm sure that also listeners have benefited by listening.
Yeah, I hope so, and it was a pleasure to be here. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. So that concludes today's interview. I hope this discussion has provided you with valuable insights into the world of bio-based sustainable packaging. This interview was conducted at Metropolia University of Applied Sciences in Finland as part of the Engage E4BIO project funded by the European Union's Horizon Europe program. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.